Welcome into this edition of Hand Raised Guys, presented by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. I'm Neil McCready. Today on the show, Tyler Siskey, the CEO of QwikU Recruiting. You guys know him as a former Ole Miss staffer, former Alabama staffer. He's kicking ass with QwikU. We might talk about that a little bit because he's adding some pretty high-profile clients, I guess is the word I'm searching for, over the course of the last few months and weeks. So we might talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about betting odds. We're going to get you some bargains. The Bet Online, betonline.com has the odds for winning the SEC championship. And I know everyone picks Alabama and Georgia, and those are the safe picks. But there's some bargains out there in the event that there are an upset and you've got $10, $100 laying around looking to roll the dice a little bit on a lottery pick. Might be some good ones available for you. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about which teams in the country all have their quarterback, head coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator back, and why that might be a big deal for certain teams, especially early in the season. And then we might talk a little NIL as well, as Tyler's got some strong thoughts on NIL. We'll get to all that in just a minute. First, I want to tell you we're brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. You may have noticed it's getting warm outside. Here's a safe prediction for you. It's going to continue to get warmer. You want your AC to be working in tip-top shape. You want to make sure that Freon's capped off. You want to make sure that you don't have a problem looming. So I would suggest that you get in touch with the people at Comer Heating and Air if you live in Oxford, Tupelo, that area, 662-801-1777. And if you live in Memphis, Hernando, DeSoto County, that area, get in touch with the people at Southern Air Conditioning and Heating, 662-429-4429. We're both in the Clark Ford studios. Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is that number. Call it. Ask for our buddy Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. Get your quote. The rest completely up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. And guests, including Tyler Siskey, join on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford. Great place to grab a po' boy, an appetizer, a burger. Great beer selection, full bar, more. Go in. You can catch up on college baseball, the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, whatever the case may be. Get out of the heat for a minute, have a cold one, and enjoy the food and service at Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford. And again, don't forget Rafters in New Albany as well. So I'm going to shift scenes here. There's Tyler Siskey of QwikU Recruiting, the CEO there. Tyler, how are you? Good to have you.
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good. Glad to have you with us. Real quick, tell people what's going on at QwikU, because you're adding some – you've been busy. A lot of meetings, adding some clients. Things are taking off.
Been busy. Got a 9, 11, 1, 3, and 4:30 today. So busy. Been adding some good schools, a lot of SEC schools lately. We're rolling. I mean, we're basically in a nutshell, we're additional help in the recruiting department, some consultations, and built a software. It's kind of hard to describe to people who haven't worked in the world, but just basically have really legitimately put a software together that's been the first time that anybody's ever done it, that's actually worked in the business and understand and solve the problems that the people really have inside the building. So I think that's a big reason why.
All right, let's get into this. So you and I were talking about this yesterday. Let me get the right screen here on my phone. All right, here we go. Bet Online, give them credit.
That's where I bet, by the way.
That's where you go?
Yeah, okay. Bitcoin, undefeated.
All right, Bet Online has the odds to win the SEC. Not the West, not the East, the SEC, the whole
shebang,
the whole trophy and confetti and all that stuff in Atlanta. Obviously, Alabama's the odds-on favorite, 1-1, which means you bet $100 to win $100. It's not a lot of fun in that, unless you are just wanting to say, hey, I predicted this, I picked it, I've got the betting stub to prove it. At which point, cool. I mean, hey, if that makes you happy, go for it. Georgia's 5-4, so a little bit more of a chance to win something there, but still. Texas A&M 11-1. We'll talk about all these teams in a minute. We'll get into this in a minute. I'm just going to get you the rundown first. Texas A&M 11-1, Florida and Ole Miss 33-1, Kentucky and Tennessee both 40-1, LSU 50-1, Arkansas and Auburn are 66-1, South Carolina's 100-1, Mississippi State is 200-1, Missouri is 400-1, Vanderbilt 500-1. That gets you through the SEC. So I'll start here, Tyler. Obviously, everyone's picking Alabama and Georgia, and that's probably what's going to happen. But if I told you it wasn't one of them, and you were taking your $100 and putting it down, where's your $100 going if the football gods come down and say, nope, neither Alabama nor Auburn win the SEC this year. It's somebody else. You got a chance to make some money here. Where's your money?
A&M. I mean, to me, all right. So A&M, I guess, is where I first found value. Right. If you look at it, they've been in recruiting extremely well. You know,
okay.
NIL incentivized or not, they've been recruiting extremely well for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Even before NIL, they were doing very well. They got the quarterback, and here's the difference. I think last.
So
year,
who is it? King? Is that
King.
Okay?
King's the quarterback.
All right.
We're teasing ourselves if it's anybody else.
So we didn't see him a lot. I'm interrupting you real quick.
Yep.
We didn't see him a lot last year, but we did see a game and a half. And in that game and a half, he wasn't anything special. So where's the optimism on him coming from?
I saw him before I've seen this kid for years.
Sure.
So I know what it is. Kind of like the Quinn Ewers kid at Texas. Okay. I know what's coming. There's just some talent you just can't deny. And he's got it. There's a reason he was a starting quarterback last year going into the season as a freshman. He's healthy. He's back. But not just him. That's the reason I like him. Is because last year when you had a young quarterback, he gets hurt. Was it week 2 maybe? Week 2 he gets hurt.
Yeah.
Colorado game, right?
Yeah. Went down in the third quarter of the Colorado game.
All right. So
or second quarter.
Then you replace him with another freshman.
Yeah, Zach Calzada.
Now you have Max Johnson, who's been through the fire. He's played in some big games. He's probably going to be the backup, I imagine. And so you have experience there to build from. So I think they got some depth there that they haven't had before, and Lord knows they got players everywhere else. So at 11-1, I'm putting 100 on it. I'll go ahead and let it. I'm putting 100 on that one.
Yeah, they were, I think, 6-1 to win the SEC West, which told me that Vegas likes them a little bit. Obviously, Vegas thinks Alabama's going to win the West, right? I mean, That's obvious.
Right. That's the easy. That's the odds are correct. The odds may be, just to be honest about Alabama, that may be a decent value because I wouldn't even have them even money. I have them below that.
Yeah, I mean, but it's football. Injuries happen, things happen, weird stuff happens. It doesn't seem to happen to Alabama very often, but it does happen. So there's they're going to play the games. Alabama's schedules, we'll get to a couple of teams, like Ole Miss gets Alabama at home. Arkansas gets Alabama at home. Those are two teams that we'll talk about in a minute because to me, I guess I'm skipping along here. To me, the value starts with Ole Miss at 33-1. I don't like A&M's schedule because they have to go to Tuscaloosa. And that's my thing with them is you got to go to Tuscaloosa. The West is hard. They've got some weird games. I don't think they can go 7-1 in the league.
Fair. And
if you do go 7-1 in the league and your one is to Alabama, you're probably in trouble. Does that make sense? Yeah. If you go 7-1 in the league and you beat Alabama, well, you got a shot because you beat Alabama, and 7-1 will get you there because you have the tie break.
Yep.
Ole Miss gets Alabama at home. Early enough in this, it's been weird. I've had this conversation with so many people about the way Ole Miss's schedule is set up, and I've got I think they have some problem spots. Like I think Kentucky's a problem. I think LSU is potentially a problem. Brian Kelly's a really good coach. Everybody jokes about the dance moves and crap. He's a really good coach. They've got talent on that roster.
He has a terrible accent, but he can coach football.
Yeah, he wins everywhere he ever goes. Yep. So he's going to win there.
Yep.
History says he's going to win there.
100%.
And it's kind of like Lane Kiffin. Wherever he goes, the offense is going to be good, and it just is. And they got that game. They got Auburn, but Auburn's at home. We'll talk about Auburn in a minute. But Ole Miss has a shot. I don't know how good of a shot, but a shot to be 8-0 when they go to College Station. And by then, if they're 8-0, one would assume they've kind of figured out the quarterback thing.
That's the whole question with me, with Ole Miss.
Yeah.
All right, is who's playing quarterback. And then of those guys, are they ready? And Dart gets a lot of attention because he was at USC, but you got to remember what this kid's age is, right? I mean,
turns 19 this month.
I mean, it's not like he was.
And Luke's the same way.
Yeah, Luke's the same way. And here's where I'm going to try to be fair, I guess is what I'm trying to say here is you're not replacing two. There's a reason he was the best quarterback in the NFL draft. Okay, and they can say what they want to. We know all the stuff and whatever. It's not here nor there where he failed. But who was the best quarterback playing football in the draft? I 100% am convinced it's Matt Corral. Now, I am biased. I have to admit I'm biased. I love the kid. But you don't just replace those guys.
Sure.
I mean, I don't care who you are. You can't go replace that kind of player. And last year, we saw the difference when he was in the game and when he wasn't in the game.
Market.
Big time difference.
Sure.
Okay, so now you're going to have to rely on other parts of your game to win, replace that and create the wins. So that's where they have Georgia Tech, look now, it's early in the season. They should win, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Jeff Collins can coach football.
Sure.
He's a great defensive mind. And so anybody, and don't sleep on Summerall coming here with his team too on the first because he's a good defensive coach. They're going to take the quarterbacks everybody else out of the game and force the quarterbacks to beat you until they prove they can. That's what's going to happen early in the season.
Yeah, it's you're exactly right because people are like, oh man, they're going to be a running machine. Oh, they have a chance to be. Lane's offenses have also been very balanced over the years, and so he's really good at that. But early in the year, especially given all the new faces at wide receivers, a new quarterback, whether it's Dart or Altmaier or whoever, and I say or whoever somewhat intentionally, because I don't think they're through recruiting quarterbacks.
I see you being slick over there.
Yeah. So whoever it is, obviously, if you're Jeff Collins, you're John Summerall, but I mean, realistically, it's not Troy. It's Georgia Tech that you circle and go, oof.
Well, they're going to give you enough to where they're going to expose some issues.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by watching.
Yeah.
I'm doing coach speak, so I'll make sure the fans understand. I'm not saying Troy's going to come in here and beat Ole Miss by 3 touchdowns. But what happens a lot of times when you play good coaches at lower levels early in the season is they expose weaknesses.
Sure.
And so then when you go and play a Georgia Tech that may have some better athletes, they can stack on top of that now beat you.
And what they're going to do is they're going to line up and go, okay, so here's what we're going to do. It's crazy to do this against the Lane Kiffin team, but we're going to do it. We're going to take the run away.
Yeah, they're going to play. We're going to play man coverage.
Yep.
They're going to load the box, and they're going to make you throw the football to beat you.
And so my point is, the premise of this is looking for the bargain, right? Mm-hmm. If that happens early, and it will, and they figure it out, a quarterback gets into a routine. I'm not saying you're Matt Corral because they're not going to have a Matt Corral, but produces, is effective, doesn't turn the ball over, moves the offense, frees up the running game to do what I think the running game can do with Zach Evans back there. All of a sudden, you get to the final third of the season, and now from winning the SEC, okay, even if you go to A&M and lose, right? If you were to come back, you get that shot at home against Alabama, and just for the sake of this scenario, let's say you do it. Well, then it's at Arkansas, Mississippi State. Those are tough games, and at Fayetteville is going to be difficult. Mississippi State's going to be pretty motivated to win. You've coached in the Egg Bowl. You know how that works.
Yep.
So it's no guarantees, but if you're looking for a flyer, it's a shot. Ole Miss at 33-1 is not a terrible bet for $10. It's not the bet I would make.
Yeah, I think they need to be like 70-1. I was really shocked when I saw this that they were, I guess, the third best West team in here. At 33-1, I'm still, I think there's some down here further that I would have put ahead of them based on what they got coming back. And
Yeah,
things.
You know where I'm going with mine.
Yeah, I know. I don't disagree with you. But for me, again, when it comes, I think Lane pissed somebody off in the SEC office with his schedule. The
back third's brutal.
When it comes to Ole Miss, the most valuable player for Ole Miss this year is going to be Pat Jernigan. Okay, that's the trainer for people that don't know. they're going to have to stay healthy. Because even though they may have a guy like at quarterback, you get it dinged up. Who's next? I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
not like you get dinged up on the offensive line. Who's next? Receiver, who's next?
Oh, all legitimate questions.
You know,
Linebacker.
Who's next? And
Yeah.
so when you play a schedule like that, like I said, whoever he pissed off stuck with them. They're not. I mean, regardless of how good they played, there's not really any way possible they're going to be able to stay healthy in that run. And if they can, it's who's going to stay the healthiest. But that run that they have in the second half of the season, that's a physical nightmare. That's brutal. And and it's already going to be bad enough if they were stacked up evenly and everybody was healthy.
Yeah.
But just not a lot of depth at some places. So Pat Jernigan's going to get he's going to earn his paycheck this fall.
Yeah, because the trip to LSU is physical. The trip to A&M's physical. Alabama's always physical. Arkansas is going to be physical this year. Those are stacked in a row like that. That's real challenging.
So they play Kentucky, and who's the other East team?
Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah. Play them every year. So they get one, but basically every SEC game they play -1. It's going to be, and all kidding aside, I mean, if you line up and run it right at Vanderbilt and you give them a stationary target, they'll hit your ass too. But any SEC game is going to be physical. The Georgia Tech game is going to be physical, okay, whether they like it or they don't. But you're just going to have to stay healthy and to have a shot in the second half. It could get ugly if they're not healthy. So, but I would have more like 70-1. I'm not betting money on them at 33-1. If it was 70, I'd put money on them, but not at 33.
Before we get to my pick here, do you like anything about Florida at 33-1? I think Billy's going to do a really good job there. I just don't think it's happening in year one.
Correct. I love Billy. Billy probably doesn't get as much credit as everybody else because he is a thinker. He's not quiet. I mean, he's not loud and boisterous. He's not a big social media guy. He's not a big interview guy. He doesn't complain a lot. He's kind of like the guy like your granddad that doesn't say a lot, but when he says something, you better freaking listen.
Yeah.
He's that kind of guy. Look, they're going to be – and he does not give – it's probably the best fit for Florida fans right now because he could care less what you think about how he recruits and how he runs his program. He's got a little bit of Saban in him like that where he's going to do it his way, but he doesn't do it in a asshole kind of way. He does it in a nice way, tactful way. That's probably the best word I can say. He's going to have – they're going to be better. They're going to be well coached. But look, Mullins had some players there, so they're going to have some talent. It's just a big mystery. Like, if you told me they ccame out and did well, I'd believe you because I know Billy that well.
Yeah.
If you told me they came out and they went 7, like where I'm at right now is that 7-5, 8-4 kind of range.
Yeah, that's what I think. I
kind of buy that too.
Yeah.
But I don't see them being a terrible team, but I don't see them winning based on their schedule to the whole league. I think that's the odds. I have them kind of in that same, in my mind, kind of like Ole Miss. They're more like 60 or 70-1 to me.
So Kentucky and Tennessee at 40-1. I love Kentucky's schedule. They get Georgia at home. They don't play Alabama.
They got State and Ole Miss on the other side, right?
Yeah, they got to go to Ole Miss.
QwikU line.
They got to go to Ole Miss. They get State there.
Yep.
I like their team. Now, this Will Levis as a top 5 NFL pick is CBS came out with a mock yesterday with Will Levis at number 1, which obviously means that you're taking Will Levis over both Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. And I don't see how do you get there.
I want to talk to that guy. Like, I just want to talk to people like that and just shake the shit out of them. And, like, what are you thinking? Like, now maybe he looks like a genius, but he's literally – I think people look like dumbasses sometimes on these mock drafts just to have people like us talking about them and clicking on it.
Well, there's no question it's clickbait. And there's no doubt it's to generate discussion. And you put somebody and say, hey, what if you get it right?
People like me get pissed off and fall right in the trap.
We're sitting here talking about it. But
good player.
He's a good player who showed some signs at times last year of being a potentially great player. Got all the tools.
Yeah, he's got the NFL prototype. He's the tools.
He looks like an NFL quarterback.
He was coached by the last coach who came from the NFL, and that's the mold that Stoops is going now, right? So he likes to –
And he replaced that coach. That coach was hired away by the NFL, and he went and got the same guy.
Copy, right?
Yeah, right.
And so, Eddie Grand's a good buddy of mine who Eddie was there before. They've had us call, before last year. He's back there now as like a special assistant to Coach Stoops. But They do a really good job, probably better than anybody in the country. And maybe Cincinnati's up there too with what they got going on right now with Coach Fickle, but of developing players, true player development.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not terrified of Kentucky on the recruiting trail. You're not. And that's just, I don't give a shit how much NIL money they have. You're not terrified of Kentucky on the recruiting trail. I know there's been a lot of talk and things in the media, not true in real life. Okay. So
all right.
You're not terrified of them on the recruiting trail because they put a lot of value in the guys and the Plan B guys everywhere else. And they find the value. And they've done a remarkable job of evaluating and developing those players. Then you go pop in a transfer portal kid here. That's where they've kind of taken the next step.
Yeah.
But their culture is impeccable.
Yeah.
What Stoops has done there, I mean, they should build a statue of him. I mean, I think he's the most underrated coach in this league.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think there's any question about it.
What he's done at Kentucky is remarkable.
He's basically taken the Iowa blueprint, and he learned it. He played at Iowa,
yep.
And he's basically turned Kentucky into the Iowa of the SEC.
With a mix of what his brother did at Oklahoma when he first got there,
right?
Right? So how he flipped the script and all that stuff. So, I mean, at 40-1, yeah, I'm putting $20 on Big Blue Nation. I'll put 20 on it.
Sure.
I mean, why not? I don't know if I'll put 100, but I'm going to put 20 on it.
Yeah, no, you're looking for a bargain. You got $20 laying around. Kentucky, I mean, they don't get Georgia until late, which I think is a good thing because give Georgia a chance to get beat up a little bit, get Georgia a chance to get exposed, and you get them in a cold weather game probably in mid-November in Lexington.
Georgia late's a lot better than Georgia early, and I'll explain in a minute. But
okay.
Georgia late's better, a whole lot better than Georgia early. And look, and you know, I live in Oxford. You live in Oxford.
Sure.
A lot of Ole Miss fans here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as I've discussed, I'm not a fan of anyone. Fans chalking this Kentucky game up to a dub.
And in fairness, most aren't.
Well, the ones I need to talk to your people.
Okay.
A lot of people are, we're going to be this going in. And I'm like, whoa. Like there is a good chance that you may be an underdog in that game. Ole Miss may be an underdog going into that game.
I wonder what that betting line will be. My guess today would be Ole Miss -1. Ole Miss -1.5. It's going to be really, really close. Here's the only thing about Kentucky is on the road against SEC West teams, they haven't been particularly good.
I throw, from a coaching standpoint, those stats like that are useless as tits on a chicken. I mean, they just – because it's a different team every year. Nobody gives a shit. There's never been, as a coach, guys, hey, we got to play harder this week because, you know, the University of Kentucky has never won a game on the road, you know, under 50 degrees weather and against the SEC West team when it's raining on turf. You know, nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And the kids don't even know, and we don't mean you've talked about this privately, but I made a reference to a Top Gun movie the other day to my kids' 14-year-old baseball team. They looked at me like I had horns coming out of my head. They never. I'm not going to say what I was about to say, but they look at you like you're crazy. The kids don't know. They don't know what happened last year.
Yeah.
I mean, really. If you asked who won they won't remember what happened the COVID year that they lost. They missed a field goal. I mean, because most of the kids are new. They really will not remember those things.
Yeah.
So I throw those stats out the freaking window. It's year to year.
What do you think of Levis? Forget the height. Forget all that stuff. As a quarterback, what do you think of him?
I think he's experienced, solid player, takes care of the football, like we talked about earlier, as a pro-style, prototypical guy. He just hasn't come out of his shell, I guess. He hasn't got to what you think he is.
Right.
And I think he's got it. He's got the talent.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, example, Matt Corral, we were talking about him a year ago. You knew he'd already shown what he can do.
Sure.
Right? I don't think, you know, of course we had to knock the mistakes down. So it's kind of the same thing because, you know, Matt had thrown a bunch of picks in some games leading up to this year. Hey, we got to, you know, make better decisions. So for me with Levis, it's got to be, okay, we're going to, you know, do a little more pushing the ball downfield, being a little more accurate in an intermediate game, you know, RPOs, things like that. But it's such a pro-style offense that I think that's where the draft stuff is coming up because he's the terminology and the complexity of the offense and things like that he has value. But I think he's a upper echelon quarterback for sure. Is he the best one? No, I don't think so. But
yeah,
I'm glad if he's on my team, I'm not like kicking him off the team or anything. I'm glad he's in my room. I'm glad he's on my team.
Yeah, he'd play for most everybody. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you can make some arguments based on systems and things, but you know, I would say he's a top 10 quarterback in the country. I mean, I think that's fair.
Tennessee at 40-1.
Love it.
You do?
Love
Okay.
it.
All right. Tell
So
me why.
I like A&M and I like Tennessee. So Chase is be thrown up in his mouth when he hears it. Okay.
Heupel's, listen, everybody loves to take the shots, and maybe the NCAA is going to hammer them, and this is all going to fall apart. But
when are they going to have time? Because they got all these other investigations they're doing.
yeah, I know. Tennessee is, from a talent standpoint, they're building it fast.
Well,
And I like Hendon Hooker.
people are like, nobody's talking about this. Why were they on probation?
Tennessee?
Mm-hmm. Why did the guy get fired?
I don't even remember, Tyler, if I'm honest.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I think it was because he was recruiting really good players. He's got a pretty damn look. They can say what they want to about Jimmy Pruitt. He's a ball coach and he knows how to recruit. That he didn't just come into like a blank canvas when everybody sucked.
Oh, no. I mean,
You know what I mean? Like he
well, I
came
mean,
in.
you go back and remember, look at the Ole Miss Tennessee game last year in Knoxville, and
Oh, it was a great game. One of the best games of the year.
I mean, if Matt Corral, it's one of two games last year that I think Ole Miss fans appreciate it. Matt Corral was damn near perfect. Otherwise, they lose.
I
And
swear to you, that was his Heisman moment, and it got overshadowed by the end of the game with the crowd and all that shit.
it did.
It
did.
if that doesn't happen,
It's a different conversation, and he got hurt too.
yeah. And he came back, and just
Yeah.
sucked it up. But anyway, that's neither here. That's history. But dude, Tennessee, like they're a good football team. Josh Heupel has plenty of swag, and you talking about offensive. You know, you look at the offensive production he's had over his career. Okay, their second year into a system, they got coaches. They got their coaches back. They got their quarterback back. Your second year in the system, you're recruiting well. You got an NIL machine going.
Yeah, and they've been successful in the portal. They and Ole Miss are among 4 teams fighting for Jalen Robinson still, and Jalen Robinson's a difference maker for Ole Miss. He's a difference maker for Tennessee if they land him as well.
Yeah, like I don't know. I have no idea why these guys are at 40-1. So we're talking about with Florida and Ole Miss at 33-1. I have no idea how Tennessee's down here. I think Tennessee's the second best team in the West. In the East right now. And going into the season, and I'm not going to be, that's the team. We talk about Georgia, right? That's a matchup nightmare for Georgia when Heupel gets this thing rolling because it's a team that can score points, okay? And if Georgia's struggling on offense of scoring points like they did in some games last year, I think this could be the year. And so for me, Tennessee is a no-brainer, big value bet right there. I like it, man. I don't know. They always play Georgia early, right?
Yeah, well, they play them late this year in November. I was pulling up their schedule. So their SEC schedule is Florida at home, at LSU, Alabama at home, Kentucky at home, at Georgia, Missouri at home, at South Carolina, at Vanderbilt. So from a scheduling standpoint, I mean, obviously, if you're trying to win the East, you'd rather have Georgia at your place than having to go to Athens in November and win. But you get Alabama at home, you get Kentucky at home, you get Florida at home. Not terrible.
It kind of reminds me. I know we got some Ole Miss, a bunch of Ole Miss fans obviously listening. It kind of reminds me of when Freeze got to Oxford for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, kind of started off 6-6. You got the NIL machine going back then too, and and you getting good players, and you start turning around and you become a national contender year in year out until other things happen.
Other things did happen,
but they also got other things coming to Tennessee too. So it's very similar. If you look at it, they got things coming. It's just a matter of when, and it's a very similar track. Got excitement, got the NIL machine going, and we're good to go. But I like them, man. I do. I think they're going to be a good team.
All right.
And they are not a QwikU client, just so for the record, I just like them. Yet.
LSU a QwikU client? Yet?
They are.
Okay. So we'll talk about them.
Yeah. We got most of them on here.
LSU at 50-1. Look, I think they're going to be a good team. I do. They're going to be better. It's difficult for me to envision a scenario in which LSU wins the SEC. All right, fill me in. Hey, I'm cynical, so fill me in.
All right, I think the LSU, everybody's hating on LSU from last year, right?
No, but I'm not hating on LSU. I'm saying we're talking about winning the league.
Well, we're also talking about 50-1.
I get it, but we're talking about winning the league. Give me a scenario
All right.
where LSU wins the league.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay, go for it.
Do they have good players? Do they have good enough players to win the league?
I don't think so.
Really?
I think they have a lot of talent, but I don't think they're in the same ballpark with multiple teams. And then I
All
don't.
right, let's take out Alabama and Texas A&M and Georgia because they're better than everybody. Do they have as much talent as everybody else?
Yeah.
So they have a puncher's chance talent-wise, correct?
Okay.
Do they have coaching?
Yes. They do now. They upgraded coach remarkably.
And they have 3 quarterbacks that can play the game.
They do. They do. They're okay at quarterback. Yeah, they got a shot to figure that out and be okay at quarterback.
So my point is that they have – I think they have the players. I think they're as talented as anybody. All right?
I hate their schedule. From a winning the league standpoint, I hate their schedule.
But is there anybody's? Can you really? This is what I always laugh about when the schedule stuff, all the conversation, because we're going to spend the next 3 months, 2 months talking about all that.
Yeah,
Who likes their SEC schedule?
Like I like Kentucky's a lot better than LSU's.
But it could be. But you know how it is. It's like probably a year ago or 2 years ago, whatever it was, when Lane first got here or his second year, they were probably like the COVID year, right?
Yeah.
They're probably like, oh, I love having Ole Miss on my schedule. Woo!
Sure.
Well, it turns out to be different. There's always one of those teams, kind of like Arkansas last year.
Yeah.
Everybody chalked up that Arkansas game as a dub going into the season last year, right? There's always I always laugh. It's like I would do the same thing. I'd look at our schedule like, awesome. And then
sure.
You're like,
no, it's brutal. The league's
we always play the team. We
yeah.
always get the crossover the team that decides to show up and play this year.
Sure. Well, even last year, like for Ole Miss at the end of the season, they looked at Vanderbilt. Well, thank God it's a break. And it turns out, they won the game, but they had to really work for it.
Yeah. So I guess my point is, it's like every schedule sucks. There's never you never really know. You're going based off last year, but
this one uniquely sucks. This is, their schedule is this. They open SEC play with Mississippi State, so you got to get ready for a completely.
They don't play them. They haven't played them well with Ed, but I think it's a different story this year. But we'll see.
Okay, then they got to go to Auburn. They get Tennessee at home. They got to go to Florida. They get Ole Miss at home. They get Alabama at home. Got to go to Arkansas. Got to go to A&M. I don't like the schedule. The home road thingy just doesn't work for them.
Yeah,
because I can find 3 losses there, even if they're a good team, and 3 loss teams aren't going to play for the title.
No, and I agree. I'm just saying from a 50-1 standpoint.
Sure.
They have the players. They have the coach, and they don't have a quarterback problem. They really don't. Garrett Nussmeier, I've known the kid since he was 11 years old. All right, his dad and I work together. I think he can play. You got Miles Brennan can play. You got the Howard kid that can play. He's like the 4th team guy is pretty good.
Yeah, and
Jaden Daniels from Arizona State. So, and look, people, and you mentioned it earlier, people sleep on Brian Kelly because he says family in a unique way.
Yeah.
The guy can coach football. He was at Grand Valley State and won there. He went to Central Michigan, won there. He went to Cincinnati, turned that place around. Then he went to Notre Dame, and where they hadn't won in a while, and got them straight to the national championship game.
Yeah.
The guy can coach football.
Oh, no, he's very good.
Okay.
He's very good.
And and that's kind of like when I always talk about Nick, right? Sometimes you look at head coaches, and sometimes they're only as good as their assistants.
Yeah.
Okay, there's been some examples of that. I'm not going to call those coaches out, but there's been some examples of that. They're only as good as their coordinators.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's had 1,000 coaches. Nick Saban's had 1,000 coaches. But when you can win year after year, it's probably not the assistants.
It's you.
It's you.
It's your culture.
It's your culture. It's how you
yeah.
hold people accountable.
Yeah.
It's what you do. Look, I think the guy can coach. I think he's got great players, and people are sleeping on LSU because of what happened last year. Well, Ed Orgeron's not the coach there anymore.
Right.
They're going to be better.
I agree.
And they have the players.
It's why when people do the 8-0 thing with me with Ole Miss, I'm like, oh, man, you're talking about beating Auburn, beating Kentucky, and winning in that Death Valley. And it's just like,
Ole Miss is not going to be 8-0.
I agree.
They're not.
No, I think if you offered Lane 7-1 right now, he would jump at it.
Oh, shit. If you offered Lane 6-0, he'd jump at it.
Yeah.
We can back this thing up as far as you want to.
Sure.
But, you going 7-1, hell, I would build a statue. If Ole Miss starts the season 7-1, they should build a statue of him right now. That's fair.
I think I agree with that. All right.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. All right, so you think LSU is 50-1's a bargain?
I'm putting $20 on it. I'm gonna get my grand. I'm taking $20 for 1,000 and easy spent.
All right, the next 2.
Here we go, baby.
Yeah, I know where you're going here. I'm glad it's you doing it, not me, because I'd get beat up. They'd be like, "Oh, you just become a fan since your kids go there." Stop. Arkansas and Auburn, both 66-1. I'm not crazy about
Who's
Auburn.
doing these lines? Are they drunk?
I don't know. It's Vegas.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't like.
They do have those weed dispensaries out there, right? They must be eating brownies while they're doing it.
I don't like Auburn at 66-1. I mean, you could offer me Auburn at 200-1, and I wouldn't. Like it.
That one's. We'll talk about Auburn in a minute.
Okay.
You can do Arkansas?
Yeah, but at 66-1, I don't hate Arkansas. And here's why. Their schedule is this. This is their league schedule. South Carolina at home. You and I both like Carolina, but they get them early and they get them at home. They get Texas A&M in the Jerry Dome, Jerry World. They get Alabama at home October 1st. Got to go to Mississippi State. Then they get a 3-week respite from the SEC. They go to Auburn, get another respite from the SEC, get LSU at home, Ole Miss at home, and finish at Missouri. Look, it's a hard schedule, but that's navigable. And from a winning the SEC standpoint, so let's just play the game here like we did with Ole Miss. If you were to pull off the upset on October the 1st, the rest of that were, hey, you can lose once and still go. The rest of that's doable.
Yeah, and I know we talk about schedules, and like I said, we're going to spend the next 2 months talking about schedules and this and all that stuff. Like,
got to talk about something else.
Yeah, I know. It's got to have something to talk about, right? But for me, from a coach's standpoint, once you get in the SEC, and it really doesn't matter. And as far as, yes, you should win, but it's almost a little bit of NFL-ish sometimes in the league to where anybody can beat anybody on any given day.
Yeah.
All right? Now, with all that being said, so to me, it's always about team versus team instead of saying, because like you look up, they could lose to South Carolina. Like that's possible.
Sure.
Right? And so that's where I have a hard time with it. And then the other thing is I'm basing my opinions now based on what I saw last year. And with the portal, that's the thing that's going to get everybody this year.
Yeah.
The portal and having these new fresh bodies that are players that are eligible to play, you have to think about it a little bit different from a team. But Arkansas, like I was like, it's 66-1. Were they drunk? I mean, for me, I'm up there in the 20-1 stuff in my head. I think it's a huge value at 66-1.
What do you like about their roster?
They have basically everybody that matters back except for Treylon Burks.
Yeah. Which
is an easier position to replace. Like I can replace a receiver.
They did lose a little bit up front on defense. That I think that's if I had to find an Achilles heel for them, it wouldn't be. People do the KJ thing. I'm like, KJ put up really good numbers, and he's probably fine. They've got really good running backs. They're good up front. They'll replace. They're not going to replace Burks, but they've got the pieces to replace his production.
Very similar to Ole Miss, right? Because they run a similar scheme on defense, right? That scheme, and this is why I'm saying what I'm saying, is it's easier to replace those guys up front.
Okay.
In that particular scheme. If they were a 4-down scheme, like 3 downs a lot easier to replace guys, and especially that particular scheme because you're really not asking a whole lot out of those guys. Now, you need your edge guys.
Right.
Okay? Like a Sam Williams. He's got value.
Sure.
Okay? But if I asked you name the starters on the on Ole Miss's defensive front on Game 6, you wouldn't remember because they do their job. They show up when they plug, but they're not like the old school 4-3 guys that you need to have a badass 3 technique.
Right.
In that we lost him. We lost Warren Sapp. That was an old school 4-3 guy. Hey, we lost Warren Sapp. We're in shit in trouble. So in the 3-down stuff, I think they're easier to replace. One is one less guy to replace, and then 2, what they ask of them is basically just get in the way and let our linebackers make plays.
Right. Okay.
Which is why I worry about Ole Miss's linebackers in the scheme that they're in right now.
Yeah.
They got to have an edge guy, which they Cedric's good.
I think Cedric's going to be really good.
But I think, anyway, I'm said all to say this, is I think their weaknesses or what they've lost can be replaced a lot easier than the normal, oh, shit, we lost this guy. If you lose a quarterback, that's a big loss, right? It's just they lost the people in the right spots to keep building.
I think people, talking about last year, I think people forget how close they were to kind of having a really special season. Like, we talk about the Ole Miss game. The balls, the balls in the air. They played Alabama better than most people played Alabama. Yeah. They got whacked at Georgia.
I was at that game. That was when at that moment I went to go see our good friend that used to be the head coach here. Stayed with him and his family and went to the game. That was when I knew in the first quarter I was like, they're winning it. It was
they
what they did. Nah.
Yeah, what they did to Arkansas's offense was so personnel based and scheme based.
It was criminal. Like they should have been arrested.
Yeah, and there were. But my point is that you look around the league and not many teams, nobody else could do that. Even Alabama, because they just couldn't physically handle them. And we'll get to this in a minute. They've got some other metrics kind of going their way. But look, do I think Arkansas is winning the SEC? I don't. I don't think Arkansas is getting to the SEC championship game. But if you told me, put $20 on something and I got a chance, sure.
66-1. Put $20 and go see if you can win. What's that? 12, 13, 20?
Yeah, you win. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Look at you in the math.
Look.
You tell you've been hitting up stuff.
Yeah, I am a math guy. People don't realize that.
You're CEO now. You have to,
math
you have to be a math guy.
Buff. English I can't help you with if you can't tell.
I'm a history buff too. I'm trying to get out of the habit of going down YouTube holes on history stuff and look up and it's like 4 hours are gone.
Yeah.
All right. What about South Carolina? We talked about. We got to talk about Auburn first. I
can be quick on here. Look, I think they got who's the quarterback. They got to figure out who the quarterback is between Finley, talking about Auburn.
Yeah.
Finley, Ashford, and Calzada. Who's the quarterback? Robbie Ashford, who was committed here, who famously, I don't know if I even told the story. I told the story on here.
I know the story. I don't know that it's been told.
It'll be good for the fans. I was actually at the Full Moon Barbecue in McCalla, Alabama, right across the street from McAdory High School, in a little break when we got the phone call that we'd been fired. So that was, and we were on our way to go see Robbie Ashford for a home visit. So that was, I always remember. Anytime Robbie Ashford's names come up, I'll remember that. I had one of those cookies, that the half dip with a chocolate on there. Have you ever had Full Moon Barbecue?
I have.
Okay, the cookies are just fire. Okay, like I could eat 10 dozen of them right now. So I had my face stuffed full of chocolate chip cookie. One of those, a little tap on the window. And it's like, and then went back to the airport and came back to Oxford. And
the tap was your boss at the time?
Was my boss at the time, said we need to go. And him and I got back on the plane and came back to Oxford. So, that was fun. Robbie Ashford, good player. He was committed to us, by the way. So between those three, who's the guy? Don't know yet, but I'll tell you this.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to piss a lot of people off here. Not piss them off. They were just going to go think I'm crazy. I think they're going to be better than they were last year.
I don't think that's crazy.
Carson, so he was a couple of coaches behind us at Arkansas State. Okay, so and at that time it was like boom, boom, boom. People are leaving every year. So a lot of the guys that I recruited and coached played for him, know him. QwikU client. But I do think what they're doing, he's doing it his way. I mean, he's a ball coach. I think they're going to be a little bit better than they were last year. There's not a lot of expectation obviously from the boosters. But this kind of happened with Tuberville back in the. You were probably covering him at the time.
Yeah.
They tried to run his ass out.
And then they had a renaissance.
They had a renaissance, and the players kind of galvanized around Tuberville.
Yeah.
And then a year later, they're freaking undefeated in the goddamn.
Yeah, no,
they should have won that national championship.
Yes, that was a supremely talented football team.
Yeah, but people didn't know that when they were trying to run his ass off.
Right. Which I always thought was so weird because I'd covered that team. I'm like, man, this is a really talented team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that was Carnell Williams and Ronnie Brown and Jason Campbell.
Now, did they have that? No.
Right. And their schedule's really hard.
But look, they're tough, man. I mean, he's going.
Listen to this run.
Yeah, I looked at it yesterday.
Listen to this run of games for Auburn. And again, we're talking about winning the SEC.
Yeah.
So it means you're winning damn near all of these games. Starting October the 1st. God, this is unbelievable. Somebody hates them. Starting October the 1st, their schedule is LSU at home, at Georgia, at Ole Miss. They can get a weekend off. Arkansas at home, at Mississippi State, Texas A&M at home, and they got Alabama somewhere. I mean that's brutal.
Obviously I sat the bench and watched everybody else play there, but I was there. The thing about Auburn that I don't like when they changed all this stuff is we used to always have Georgia and Alabama at the end, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, look, this for years. Those have been the two, predominantly dominant teams in the league for both sides. that was a rivalry game. Both rivalry games, but there's both permanent opponents, and they had them at the end of the year. And so when you look, Auburn can build momentum all the way to the end and like try to carry that momentum for the last 2 weeks. When you go and you have to play Georgia early, I mean, it just, if you don't win that game, it kind of kills it a little bit.
Yeah.
But look, I think 66-1 is probably a little too high. I wouldn't bet on there. It's probably about where it's supposed to be, maybe a little worse. But look, I think they're going to be better. I think they win 7 games somehow. I don't know. Don't explain it to me. I just have this weird thing because he is a ball coach. People don't really. That's why he got hired, because the guy can coach football. I think he's back for year 3.
It's a tough place to go win.
I think he's back for year 3.
Okay.
I do.
All the hot takes.
Yeah,
today.
I do. I think he's back for year 3 because nobody's giving the guy a chance in hell, and I think they've kind of made their bed financially. I think he's back for year 3. I think he does enough. Now, if he falls flat on his ass, then no. But I find that I don't know why I think that, but I think they're good enough to where they're probably going to win some games they're not supposed to, and they're going to find a way to be a little bit better than last year, 7-5 maybe. If they're if it snowballs, chance in hell they go 8-4, but I think they're a little bit better than what they were last year.
All right, I think we can wrap some of this, but the odds part here: South Carolina, Mississippi State, Missouri, Vanderbilt. They're not winning the SEC. It's not happening.
Vandy's at 500-1.
Yeah.
All right. I would rather go. So this weekend we got a baseball tournament, and we're playing Millington, Tennessee.
Okay.
Big tournament. I would rather take $1.
That at the USA.
It is big time facility. By the way.
Yeah.
Love it. But I'm going to take $1, and instead of betting on Vandy, so at 500-1, I'm going to give it to my 6-year-old Knox, and he's going to go buy 2 Airheads. So I think that's money at the concession stand.
It's a better investment.
I think it's a better investment.
He's going to get something. He's going to get the Airheads.
Like Vegas is missing a great opportunity here. They should make this thing like $5 million to 1,
and see if someone will.
Well, no, everybody. It's just like everybody will bet on it.
The horse,
and then you just make your money. There's a 0 chance in hell that Vanderbilt's winning the SEC. I will kiss your ass at high noon on Sunday and give you an hour to draw a crowd if they win the SEC.
I wouldn't even want that, though.
I know. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. If it does, you don't have to do that. We're good.
We'd have to figure something else out.
South Carolina at 100-1. Forget the odds for a minute, though. I do think this is a team people are sleeping on.
Mm-hmm.
We talk a lot about the transfer portal here with what Ole Miss has been able to do with it. South Carolina was very effective in the transfer portal as well. They get Spencer Rattler, who I know was not good last year, but he was damn good the year before that at Oklahoma. They've got some pieces back. I love the culture he's building there. The fans get super excited. It can be a hard place to play.
Very difficult.
Again, not winning the SEC, that's not happening. That's not happening. But if you told me they went 8-4, I kind of buy it.
Wouldn't argue with you. If you, I would. Okay, cool. Look, they got better every week last year, and they were doing it with a freaking GA at quarterback. Okay, so now you got a kid. Now look, Spencer Rattler's had his issues, and he is I wouldn't have wanted him on my team, not because of he's talented, but everything else. But maybe the kid's grown up a little bit, because it happens with kids.
Sure.
And 2 is this is his last opportunity, because there's no more going back in the portal, right?
No, if he wants to play in the league, he's got to make South Carolina work.
He's got to make it work.
Yeah.
And he's talented enough. And now they got a talented quarterback. And they got better every single week.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that kills me is what all these teams that did bad last year, South Carolina went to a bowl game and dominated in a bowl game.
Yeah.
And
because he got the mayo mayonnaise bath and stuff. And he feels about mayonnaise the way I do.
Yeah. You don't like mayo?
Oh, God.
Oh, it's good shit. So I like it on my sandwiches. Chicken sandwich especially. Look, we need to get you, I'll make you, since I'm a redneck from Alabama, I'm going to make you a fried bologna and mayonnaise sandwich. To get your mind right. Look at you. You'll be saying family and all that stuff before it's all said and done.
I'd lose some weight.
But anyway, look, they got better every single week. They went to a bowl game. Everybody's thinking they suck. I mean, they didn't get. I mean, Muschamp got five. I mean, Muschamp's a pretty good coach.
Yeah,
they get ran out of there because they can't get to a bowl game. They're going 4-8. This guy,
he did it
with a GA at quarterback. I don't think anybody understands it.
Yeah, no.
A guy that was coaching football and had like 8,207 picks at Bowling Green, quits football to go become a GA, and then we don't have any quarterbacks. Come play quarterback for us.
We need you to go ahead and pad up.
Yeah, we need you to pad up. What a story.
Yeah,
they go to a bowl game with that.
Yeah.
Like, now he's got Spencer Rattler. I think they improve by 2, 8-4.
Their schedule, they get Georgia State at home. It's a win. They get the tough game at Fayetteville.
Georgia State, QwikU client.
They get Arkansas in Fayetteville. They get Georgia at home. Some people are
QwikU client.
People are. Is South Carolina a client yet?
No, they are. I have not. We've got a Zoom schedule, but no.
Okay.
Not yet. I don't know what they're waiting on. I'm pumping them up. Let's go.
Yeah, they get Georgia at home. It's tough. Charlotte at home. South Carolina State. Then they go to Kentucky. They get A&M at home. Missouri at home. At Vanderbilt. At Florida. Tennessee at home. At Clemson. It's a tough slate.
Yeah. So they got a tough schedule, but they do every year. You're never going to like their schedule. They go 8-4. I like it. Book it 8-4. Over under losses, whatever that is.
All right, we didn't touch Mississippi State. Let's do it.
They got to do that, right?
Yeah, 200-1.
Quick client.
There you go. 200-1. Is Ole Miss a client yet?
No.
Okay.
I like how you threw that in there, Zinger.
Yeah.
We'll talk later.
Yeah. Mississippi State at 200-1. They're not winning the West, but
why is it that bad though?
I don't know. I don't know why. I was
you.
literally about to ask you, why is Vegas so down on them? Because they have some things going for them.
Yeah, they got all their coaches back, which we'll get to in a minute, and their quarterback back.
They were good on defense a year ago. Not great, but good.
Know why I feel like I'm missing something.
They lose Cross at tackle, and he was important.
Yeah, but you don't agree.
But in that scheme, you don't have to have.
I don't like. It's like this whole, when we got our ass roasted about this Nakobe Dean thing going to Georgia, right? There's certain positions that they help you win, but they don't cost you games.
Sure.
Quarterbacks cost your ass games.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, there's certain positions that help you win. Like, have you ever gone, hey, look, the reason Alabama wins national championship because they have a great left tackle. Like, it helps. Okay. It definitely helps. But how was Northern Iowa's? What was their record last year?
I don't know.
Their left tackle was probably the best left tackle in FCS football, but they didn't win the damn thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
There's positions around it. Look, I think I'm not saying they're going to win the thing, but are they the third worst team in the league?
See, I don't think so. I'm higher on Rodgers than a lot of people. Maybe it's because I saw him play. I watched that game in person with Mississippi State and Arkansas and Fayetteville, and Rodgers was just really good. Made a couple mistakes, but I don't think they're the 12th best team in the league.
I think they're the 7th best team in the league.
Okay.
7, 8.
Yeah.
I don't think they're 11th. I think they're down a couple spots where they need to be. Are they twice as bad as South Carolina?
Oh, I don't think so.
Are they 3 times as bad as Auburn? Are they 7 times as bad as Ole Miss?
Well, they whipped Auburn a year ago, and now they get them at home.
Yeah, I don't.
The
value if you want to get
their schedule is they get Memphis, Arizona, they go to LSU to open league play. They get Bowling Green at home. They get Texas A&M at home. They get Arkansas at home. They go to Kentucky, to Alabama, Auburn at home, Georgia at home. It's a tough schedule. And then East Tennessee State, and then at Ole Miss.
Egg Bowl decides if it's 6-6 or 7-5.
Yeah, I'd buy that. And I said this on the Tuesday Oxford Exxon podcast. If Mike Leach goes 7-5 and loses to Ole Miss a third time in a row, it's going to start getting squirrely over there.
You think?
Yeah, I don't. The way their culture is at that place,
I think they like him there, though.
I do too, but
I don't think they ever embraced Moorhead. You know what I mean?
But the culture there is such that you have to beat Ole Miss some.
Hell, Moorhead beat Ole Miss every year, right? And got his ass fired.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Like, I think it's a fit thing. I think they like him there. I mean, everybody thought it was going to be a crazy fit. I think they like him.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they're. What's the best way to put this? I think when they went back to back with Moorhead and Leach, maybe they realized kind of what those middle tier jobs are.
Yeah.
You go 7-5, 8-4. Smile, go to the Outback Bowl and do it again.
There's a lot of truth to that.
A lot of truth to that.
I don't know. We'll see. They're one of the teams that I kind of have a big question mark on. Like,
yeah.
I don't know
why it's that bad. That's my question.
Yeah.
It should be better. I don't know why it's that bad. I guess that's my big question.
Okay, so
We're going to the list.
Going to the list. I need to find. Need to find the list. Let's see. All right, I got it right here.
A list. This is a critical list, by the way.
This is teams. I'm gonna do this different way. I can read it better. This is teams that are returning their starting quarterback from a year ago, the head coach, and both coordinators, offensive and defensive, not special teams coordinators. And that list, here are the teams. I'll read through it real quick. Not long. So much turnover in football now.
Who are you telling?
Alabama. Alabama, this is in alphabetical order, before anybody thinks that I'm picking favorites.
No, actually, it's not, though. But I'm with you. I don't know what order it's in, but it's not alphabetical order.
Okay,
The second team's Utah.
Oh no, I found a different.
Oh, you got a different list.
Yeah.
I see you.
But you got the same teams. Yeah, I think you just alphabetized it. Alabama, Arkansas, Boise State, BYU, Coastal Carolina, probably a team to circle nationally. Houston, Iowa, Kansas, Maryland, Miami of Ohio, Michigan State, Mississippi State, North Carolina State. By the way, a team that I sneaky like in the ACC.
Better not sleep on the Wolfpack.
I'm telling you. I don't know what their odds are to win the ACC. That might be where I put my $50.
Yeah, that's a good bet.
North Texas, Oregon State, Stanford, Tennessee, Utah, Utah State. So both of the Utah teams.
Maryland not on there?
Maryland was not on here. Yeah, Maryland. I'm sorry. Yeah, right there. Yeah, Maryland.
Okay.
So in the SEC, it's Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Tennessee.
That is correct.
Those are the four teams in the SEC that return head coach, both coordinators, starting quarterback. How big of a deal is that? And then I'm guessing that's a big deal early in seasons.
Big deal early. If you like to wager on games, this is you take this list and you look at lines. One right at the gate, I can go ahead and tell you the Utah-Florida game I'm going to be looking at.
I know, I love it.
I'm going to be looking at
I
that
love
one
it
early.
I'll tell you another one that I really like, and I'm going to get beat up for doing it. I love Arkansas over Cincinnati.
Oh, they're going, yeah.
Cincinnati loses so much.
A lot,
So much.
But Vegas will probably have that one figured out pretty good because of everything.
I've seen an early line of 8, and that's about where I would put it.
Arkansas favored by 8.
Yeah.
Dirty one.
Yeah,
Why would they do that?
I don't know. I was hoping
Go
that
down to 6.5 and let's have some fun.
I was hoping they would start it at like 5.5, and I was going to put money on it. The Utah line is Utah -3, I think.
At the Swamp.
That game's at a neutral site.
Yeah. Let's say I like that heat and humidity early in the year too. But anyway, long story short is this.
His teams are always in great shape though. Whittingham's. He's a really good coach, dude.
I know, but that humidity's undefeated, untied, unscored upon.
I know.
It'll fatigue makes cowards of us all.
Well, that is true.
I think it's a really big deal, obviously, and that's why I was interested in this Mississippi State deal. It's like, kind of got your key. I call those kind of like your cornerstones.
Sure.
Okay, your key foundation of what's going on, and if you got this in place, if this is in place, that's your head coach, your coordinators, and your quarterback are in place.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to look back to how are you building your depth, and what's around it, because you got piece one figured out. Okay, you got the main thing figured out. So keep the main thing, which they have. Now, what's coming in behind it, what you got, your foundation. That's when I look at a list like this and think about Alabama. That's scary. How unusual is that to have coordinators and a quarterback? I don't know. I wonder how many times that's happened.
It hasn't happened many. It's one of the reasons why we do all this stuff about who's going to win the SEC, and I just keep coming back to Alabama's going to win the SEC. Yeah. I mean, the scenario is Alabama gets hurt, has a run on injuries.
I mean, they'd have to get,
and it's got to be bad.
I look at the list. Alabama's got it there. Utah. Like I want to jump on the Utah train so hard, but every time I wager on Utah, they freaking let me down. Like you'll have a freaking Oregon State game or whatever it got me last year. I was pissed off. I had them in a freaking like a 16 parlay, and it was Pac-12 at dark. They were the last team. I should have like hedged my bet, and I didn't, and they just crushed me. So they're one of those teams that they're not dead to me yet, but they pissed me off. They did make me some money in the Rose Bowl though. All right, Michigan State. Look, QwikU client. Michigan State is what they're doing there with Mel. He's recruiting at an elitely high level.
Oh, big time.
His culture is there.
Big time.
He's physical, like what they're doing there. They're going to be good again. They've lost a lot, but again, running backs are a dime a dozen sometimes, and you can go just like they are in the NFL. So you can find talent there, which they have. Seen it. Interested to see. You know who I'm interested to see this year? Your Iowa Hawkeyes. Do they continue where they were last year? Or are they going to be the 8-4, 9-3, or are they going to come back and contend?
Well, we're consistent if we're nothing else at Iowa. That's what we do. By
I'm
the way,
interested
if you're curious here, odds for the Big Ten. So Ohio State's 1-2, so there's no bargain there. Wisconsin's 10-1, Michigan's 11-1, Penn State's 12-1, Nebraska 14-1,
No.
Iowa 20-1. Michigan State 25-1. That might be a good little bargain right there. Purdue at 25-1, Minnesota 28-1, Indiana 33-1, and then the last ones, it's Illinois and Maryland are both 100-1. Northwestern's 150-1. Rutgers is 200-1.
What if we did a conference where we had like Rutgers, Vandy, and just put them all
Like a soccer thing where you pick the bottom teams and put them in one league.
Northwestern, Army, Navy, Liberty.
All right, I'm looking for the ACC because
I get a Kersey chuckle there.
Liberty. Well, I was actually looking for something. I wasn't paying attention the way I should. All right, here's the ACC.
Yep.
Clemson's 2-3, so they're the prohibitive favorite.
Oh.
I know. That's a lot of people betting on names there. Miami 5-1.
Bet it.
I know. I've been telling people they got elite quarterback.
Hey, look at me.
Culture.
Look at me.
I know.
I know. Bet it.
I know.
May be the best quarterback. Nobody's talking about it.
I know.
Bet it. And when I say they have an NIL machine, have y'all? I missed today's show, by the way.
We did. We talked a lot. We're going to talk about NIL in a minute. We talked about it some.
Talk about my man John Reeves.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
They have a NIL freaking machine going.
It's one of the reasons Mario took the job.
But, some of these places have NIL machines going, but the coach is just an okay recruiter. You have the elite of the elite recruiters with one of the elite of the elite NILs.
Yeah.
They're getting dudes. And now they got coaches to go with it. I mean, you got Kevin Steele's your defensive coordinator. Look, that dude can coach some freaking football now.
Pitt is 9-1.
No.
NC State's 10-1. I'm telling you, this is a solid bet.
10-1.
10-1.
Bet it.
This is a solid
those
bet.
Those are I think those are the two best teams right now.
North Carolina 11-1.
Got to replace a lot. They got talent.
Yeah.
They just got to replace a lot.
Wake is 20-1. The guy's done a really good job. They're not winning the ACC, but he's done a hell of a job.
Was that the guy that was supposed to come here, or was that Doran?
It was Doran.
Okay.
FSU and Virginia both 33-1.
Who was the FSU and who?
Virginia.
Okay.
Boston College is 40-1.
Sneaky. They win games. They're like the South Carolina of the ACC. They win games.
Louisville 66-1. Virginia Tech 80-1. Georgia Tech 125-1. Syracuse 150-1, and Duke 500-1.
Duke and Vandy, throw Duke in that conference too.
Yeah. Vandy probably would like to play in that conference.
Wow.
They would probably just like
cash their check and go
they'd
to
like
the
to
house.
continue to get the check at least.
Yeah,
but yeah.
get the check. Who would have won $50 million every year?
All right.
NC State. I like NC State, Miami.
Yeah, I like NC State there.
Are they in the same division of the ACC? Because I don't understand all that shit.
I'm not sure. They're talking about scratching the divisions there, right?
When it comes to the divisions and stuff, except for the SEC, that's the only one that I know. But the rest of them, they switched too many times. They changed conference alignments.
We've gone this far. I'll get Big 12 and see what their odds are. Let's see. All right, the odds for the Big 12, in case you're curious. Nope, that's not it. That's ACC. It's not what I asked for. But you hate when Twitter doesn't cooperate.
All the time.
All right, here we go. Big 12. It's Oklahoma's the favorite at 7-4.
QwikU Client.
Texas is 2-1.
Interesting.
It is interesting. Oklahoma State 5-1.
No, not too sure.
Baylor at 15-2, so 7.5 to 1.
Not bad odds.
Not bad. Iowa State's at 12-1. I think they lost too much. TCU 14-1. Texas Tech 40-1. This league sucks. West Virginia's 40-1. Kansas State's 50-1. Kansas is 300-1.
The sleeper, West Virginia.
Oh, you think so?
Sleeper. He's doing. Look, Neil's a good football coach. He's been acquiring talent. JT Daniels is there. Everybody's sleeping on him because he wasn't successful at Georgia, but he didn't really play bad. He got hurt and then he got replaced. Everybody thinks the guy sucks. He's transferring. He can spin the piss out of it. I think that system fits him better. What Neil's doing, they're going to be better. I would, they're down the road odds wise. If I was just betting for value right there, I mean, you got Oklahoma
40-1. You 40-1.
Yeah.
I don't hate Kansas State at 50-1.
No, I mean, I think it's a wide open league after Texas, Oklahoma. I mean, it's kind of like the SEC with Alabama, Georgia, right? But when Texas decides they want to play, it doesn't matter. They're all wasting their time because I guess they're happy that. What's this league going to look like when Texas and Oklahoma leave?
Well, they'll have UCF and Cincy and all them in there by then. It's
Yeah,
just
no,
going
I'm
to
just saying,
look this
like,
hodgepodge of a.
You know what I mean? Like, is it the new American? I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, are we really? I mean, I could make an argument that the American's going to be. You got these American schools going to the Big 12, but I can sit here and argue with you and tell you that the Americans going to have more talent than the Big 12 once those two schools leave.
All right, we did all the other power ones. We'll just roll through this one fast. This is it's the Pac-12.
They play football?
They're going to do it one more time and
Okay.
just see what they think. USC is a 2-1 favorite.
Do they have to wear a mask out there while they play football?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you get COVID otherwise.
Okay, I was checking.
And if you get a mask, you don't get COVID.
Oh, that's how that works. Okay. I wasn't on
Yeah, Oregon's 11-5. So they like Oregon. Utah 5-1. Arizona State and UCLA both 17-2, so 8.5 to 1. Washington's 11-1. Washington State's 33-1. Oregon State 40-1. Cal is 66-1. Stanford's 80-1. Colorado's 200-1, and Arizona is 500-1.
So, what did you say USC was?
2-1.
I think they got it right. I
Yeah.
think it's Oregon, USC. Dan Lanning, a good football coach again. It's unique what they've done, right? So the last two hires, instead of staying out West Coast, Oregon's come across the pond to the Southeast and because the recruiting is totally different out there.
Yeah.
I mean, night and day. I remember being on the road and you'd see a coach from UCLA, he'd be wearing shorts and flip-flops and have his kids with him while he was recruiting. Just different vibes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as intense. And so when Mario gets out there, it's like, ripping and roaring, doing it and stirred a lot of stuff up, right? I think Lanning's going to do the same thing. I think Lincoln Riley's going to do the same thing, except, they both have, unless something's different that I don't know about, they're really the only two basically NIL machines out in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Everybody else is kind of just, like UCLA hasn't decided if they want to play football or not.
It's a big year for UCLA. They got to figure this out, and they got to watch USC do what USC is going to do, which I wonder if –
Too late.
It is late. I do wonder if watching USC this year is going to force them to kind of have a come to Jesus where they go, hey, we have to compete.
This has been going on before NIL too now.
I know.
Chip Kelly, good football coach.
Yeah.
And they're just pissing away the resources that they have as far as, they have talent. They're not supporting him. Bad admin. What are we doing? What are we doing? You're in freaking Los Angeles. You're in the largest media market on the planet. And what are you doing with NIL? Okay, I was just checking. What are we doing? You're wasting. That's like Bo Jackson deciding he wants to play golf instead of football and baseball. What are we doing? Anyway,
all right. Let's do NIL in the last few minutes we have
because you get me fired up.
You got a 1:00 meeting,
I do.
so we're going to be quick here. Big 12.
Big 12.
Okay. 1 o'clock meetings. We'll 10 minutes here, then we'll stop. I appreciate your time very much.
Bet.
They came out earlier in the week with, hey, we got to put some guidelines on this NIL thing. Collectives, boosters, they can't be involved in recruiting. That just can't happen. We've got to get this under control. Hey, you can go. In fact, we're encouraging you, NCAA, to go and investigate and find the egregious offenders and punish them retroactively. We've got to get this under control. This can no longer be supported. Your thoughts?
Good luck with that. I mean, what are we doing? And whenever the podcast comes out, it comes out today is what, Tuesday? It comes out Wednesday. I was so pissed off. I really don't know if I made sense. I was just so pissed off about it yesterday.
Your podcast, Home Visit.
Yeah, Home Visit with Tyler Siskey and Associates on your MPW digital channels. So, what are we doing?
I don't understand. I really don't. I mean, I get that the whole idea was, look, it can't be used as an inducement. And that's where I'm like, man, shut up. It's
what
always
did you think was going to happen?
Well, it's always been an inducement. Now it's just illegal. It's just it's a transparent inducement. The people, and I get it, and no, I'm not. This is not me picking on Chase here, because Chase is not saying this. Other people have, though. Well, when you do it this way, you say the quiet part out loud. Oh, okay, fine.
To a certain extent, yes.
But the product's still the same product. It's still college football. The people are like, this is going to turn me off. No, it's not. You're going to go back. You've been doing this your whole life. Do you know how many times I've tried to quit the Chicago Cubs?
A lot.
You do this all the time, and fall's going to roll around. It's so easy in May to go, you know what, man, this is just, I don't like the way this tastes. I'm not going to do it. September's going to roll around, and you're going to be all geeked up, and yep, you're going to go to the Grove, or you're going to go to Auburn, or you're going to go to the Quad, or you're going to go to Tiger Stadium, whatever team's yours, you're going to go to those games, and you're going to be like, oh, maybe this is the year, and you're going to do this deal like we just did with all these teams. Hey, all that has to happen is, and the first weekend's going to play out, and teams are not going to look great or whatever. You go, oh, here we go. And you're
remember, like LSU, everybody was on LSU last year.
Yeah, we're gonna have overreaction Monday. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yep. We're going to do it because it's
ready
fun.
To fire coaches after the second week.
Yeah, and I mean, we're going to do this again. So the people that are like, this is ruining the sport. No, it's not. It's the same sport.
Yeah, I'm not going in. I don't think it's ruining the sport from a fan's perspective, right? I don't think that's ever in danger. I think the product's always going to be the product. You're never going, it's kind of like, look, I had YouTube TV, they turned off. I don't even remember what channel it was. I got pissed off. So I switched to Hulu for about a day. Then they got their contract worked out, and then I went back. It was ESPN right before football season,
yeah.
Right? Like, I don't even remember.
But
Same thing, right?
Good players have always gotten paid, Tyler.
Allegedly.
The good players have always gotten paid.
You gotta say allegedly.
But I don't. You do. I don't. Good players have always gotten paid. The mid-level programs have always lost players at the end to bigger paydays. It's always happened. It's always going to happen.
Correct. If you any kid that's been committed to you for a while, if you're a mid-level program and you lose them, they got paid. But it's really not because you didn't pay them. It's just you didn't pay them as much as the other person.
They got a better offer.
They got a better deal. All right. So now the
transfer portal, frankly, has kind of leveled that playing field somewhat.
Now you're getting where I was wanting to go with this.
Okay.
So here's where they're trying to do all these solutions with NIL, right? We're putting guidelines on it. By the way, I don't know if you've talked about it, Ross Dellinger.
Yeah.
Covering this shit really good.
Yeah, Ross is excellent.
I mean, like, covering the shit out of it.
Ross and Andy Staples are the two best people in covering college football. It's not close.
Yeah. Like, I don't even like to read. I'll read his shit.
Yeah.
Like it.
He's very, very good.
All right, so they come up with these guidelines, right, about NIL and, hey, we're not going to do booster involvement. But here's where, look, you're not, how do you fix NIL? You don't. You can't. Stop trying. Like, what are you doing? Are you going to go back and the retroactive punish? Like, I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm playing cards with my sister's kids or something. I just want to slap the shit out of them because they don't know what they're talking about. And they're going to say, hey, here's what's happening. ADs and presidents, we're coming out of this meeting, and, hey, here's what you're going to do, NCAA. NCAA is looking at them like, screw you. I mean, I won't say what I really want to say, but F you. I mean, we got enough problems. They're making suggestions. That's lost in this whole deal. It's not they're doing it.
Guidelines.
They're making suggestions.
Right.
Like, so you're going to go back, and here's why the NCAA can't do shit. So what happened yesterday was nothing. NCAA can't do anything because if they go to the first collective and they try to say you can't do this, they're going to get sued into oblivion, which is what they're trying. This is why they're doing all the deregulation, is because they got their ass sued last summer, which started this whole mess from the jump, and they can't do anything about it. So here's the only, if you want to fix it, there's two ways, and I don't think they're going to do the first way,
okay,
which is to let the schools pay the kids.
Let them be employees.
Let them be employees.
Okay.
Will it fix it? Yes. Do they want to do it? No. Why? Because for some reason they think, oh, that's going to create haves and have-nots. You're already creating haves and have-nots.
Agreed.
Okay, but that's...
what's the second way? Because
right,
that first way's probably not happening.
Is not with the NIL. It's with the transfer portal.
Okay.
If you go back and you say you're not immediate, if you take it's not the portal, if you take the immediate eligibility out of it, you stop all this shit.
See, what you just said was what Elijah Drinkwitz basically said the other day.
Well, coach said it? Good.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Well, what Drinkwitz said was, here's the mistake. The transfer portal, college football could have handled the transfer portal. College football could have handled NIL. It couldn't handle both at once.
Well, yeah, they usually make like these altering rules, like they did it with the grading at qualifications system. And they make these rules every once in a while, but they're like once every 5 years, and you have time to adjust and all that. But they made these two just drastic rule changes, but they actually are affecting the game. All right, and so all of this shit that we're doing with NIL and tampering with kids and paying kids this and this and this.
Yeah.
If they would just take away the immediate eligibility and the threat of transfer after 1 year, okay, the kids would probably care a little bit more about actually where they're going. Because right now it's like, how much do you pay me?
Right.
Okay. All right. This is literally what's going on
Yes.
in the mind of it. Like, I don't know if I'm sure you've probably exhausted this on your show too, but hey, how much are you going to pay me? All right. But here's the mentality is, okay, they got a ton of money over here. Now I really want to go to school here. They got a ton of money. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go here. And if they're going to pay me a ton of money, if it works out, great. But if it don't, I can get in the portal tomorrow and I can go here.
Right.
Like, it's like, okay, when you're getting asked out on a date, like, man, she is crazy as hell, but she is hot as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But this girl, she's cute, sweet as a button. She's cute. Like, I can deal with it, but she's hot as hell. It's like getting a hall pass, man. I mean, we've been married for a while. It's like if your wife gave you a hall pass. Are you gonna go out with the ugly chick, or are you gonna go try to find the finest chick? Huh?
I'm too old.
Me
It wouldn't
too.
matter anymore.
I'm just saying, like in our prime, right? But,
yeah.
Well,
no,
what are we doing?
It is the thing. It is. Hey, you know what? I think I am going to go spend a little time with Crazy, and then when it doesn't work out,
spend some time with Crazy, and when it gets too crazy,
I'll
go back home.
I'll go back to the girl next door.
Go back home.
Yeah.
But if
she might be mad at me for a minute, but she'll take me.
Yeah, she'll be mad at you. She'll be a hot minute, but that's.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
And then you got some programs that are the cute girl, and they're going, "Hey, I'm just going to talk to you, so when the crazy girl doesn't work out, come back." That's what they're dealing with.
There's no doubt.
Like, what are we doing? Like, I've literally
I've had people ask me, how come Ole Miss is bringing in some of these 5-star kids that they can't get? And the answer is what you just said.
Yeah,
the answer is well, because one, you take a shot, but two, and this is 90% of it, if not more, is because that kid might not work out at whatever. Something might go wrong, and you might make a really good destination as the rebound.
Ain't no doubt. And but when it comes to like this whole thing, I think you got to settle it the other way. And here's where I get really frustrated about the whole thing is, and I've talked to you off the air about this. I got a chance to meet with the NCAA and whatever that was, 18, I guess. And they were, hey, we're going to start this transfer portal. Give me your thoughts. This is how it's going to work. I don't know if I've told this on here or not. I know I've told you. And I literally laid out what was going to happen. I said, it'll be fine as long as you don't grant immediate eligibility. Looked me dead ass in the eyes and said, oh, no. We'll never do that. And I said, because if you do,
yeah,
I said, literally, it's going to take you about 5 years to figure out that you have a problem because you're going to kill your scholarship numbers in some places, and you're not going to ever get back to 85, and then it's going to mess with your 25 initial. What rule got passed the other day?
Yeah, just throw that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah, it took.
How many years
has
it been? 18. Okay. Checking.
Yeah.
And then I said, you know, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, and they're like, oh, well, no, we'll never do that. Well, so here's the problem. I was just arriving at Ole Miss. I said, but here's what you don't realize what you've already done last year is you let all these kids free transfer from Ole Miss and go to, that was the Shea Patterson, that mass exodus.
Yeah.
It was like 7 starters. I said, you've allowed them to do that. And so if any kid's got, and if I'm a coach and I want this kid to transfer and be immediately eligible, which is what we did, by the way, and what everybody else did, go lawyer up. Just lawyer up and say you have precedence. The NCAA don't want those lawsuits.
Of course not.
If you want to win the NCAA, like literally just hire a lawyer and you're good. Unless you're part of the Ole Miss investigation, that doesn't work. But, yeah.
So you agree with me that the genie's out of the bottle. The toothpaste is out of the tube. It's over.
Look, I spend a lot of time thinking about this shit. This is not like an hour. I mean, this literally runs my day sometimes. You can't fix it by putting guidelines on it. If you're going to tell me booster involvement and all that shit, that's great. That tells me people that said booster involvement, I about just like fell out of the damn, like,
yeah,
the hell you think's been going
on?
Like,
man.
come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, what's up?
What do the coaches want? You talking to coaches all over the country. I mean, we've joked about it some today, but in all seriousness, your business is taking off, and you're talking to a lot of people.
Yeah.
What do they want?
I think there's frustration on the coaches level because of you can't be involved allegedly with the NIL part, right?
Allegedly,
right? But
sure.
Some of them are following the rules.
Yeah.
Okay, I will say that this isn't.
Oh no! In fact, a lot of them are following the rules.
Yeah, there's a lot following the rules.
Yeah.
There's a lot not following the rules.
Sure.
And I would say, if I had to guess, if I had to put a percentage on it, I would say 70% aren't following the rules.
Okay.
But 30% are. I think the people that are the most frustrated are the people following the rules.
That's usually how that works.
Yes. That's what we're doing with this 85 thing, too, by the way. But people whose collectives aren't organized are frustrated because they've been told by their ADs or their presidents to stay out of it. We got it. And they don't understand the sense of urgency to get the collectives organized or get that money in that. And they don't realize how big of a deal it is. And you see the people that are doing well right now, the people who had their ducks in a row when it started.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you have people, you know, and I've had, 2 phone conversations with 2. One was a SEC school, another one was a Big 12 school, and the last that QwikU clients that we can consult. And hey, how do we start a collective? What's that GIF? Like, I'm talking about. They're on this list that we talked about with odds of winning the league, right?
That's kind of like the guy that's going to run a marathon, and the marathon's in a week, and he goes, "Hey, when should I start training?"
Yeah,
Cat, you're in trouble.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's like you're going to have. It's what do you? I mean, the number has gotten so astronomical, right?
Yeah,
that they can't compete for the recruits that they. And I know this sounds bad. The black market was so much easier. So much easier
because it was more affordable.
More affordable for everybody.
Yeah.
As dumb as this sounds, the black market brought parity to college football when people thought it didn't.
Yeah, I'll have to get you to dive into that another time.
Yeah,
that's a good segue to a future appearance.
Yeah.
You got to go. It's always fun to visit with you. Really appreciate it.
You bet.
It was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, thanks to the people at Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating for making hand-raised guys possible.
You're going to need them this week, by the way.
Yeah, it's going to get hot.
It's a hot one out there today, boys.
It's going to get hot. Going to get hotter. You know how this works. So if your AC's acting like it's not exactly perfect, you should call now. Don't wait till it's too late. Call now. Comer and Southern. The numbers are on the screen. We'll make this the Oxford Exxon podcast in the morning. So have a great weekend. Thanks for being a part of the show. Thanks for making us a part of your week. Until next time, for Tyler, I'm Neil. Take care.